let's go to, there's something called PowerShell. What's PowerShell? Look at it. Windows PowerShell. That's PowerShell. What does it mean? Who knows what PowerShell means? The command line interface. Generally, you operate from two areas, from GUI using your mouse and from CLI using commands. So this is the command line interface of Windows. Command line interface is generally where you can use commands to run operations. So instead of, and it's faster and kind of automation to use command lines. So you are paid better if you can operate Windows from this environment, much higher than the person who can operate Windows from the GUI environment. If you can operate Windows from here, you use your mouse to move things around, you are good. But if you, the day you learn enough to start operating Windows from your command line interface, for Windows Server operating system, the command line interface will be PowerShell here. Then with a single command, you are not able to do so many things instead of doing them one by one through. So there are generally, so instead of learning Windows, what's this place now? Instead of learning PowerShell and learning Windows commands that are useful only for Windows, what you will do is go and learn Linux and learn commands that are not just useful for Windows, because Windows is limited in and somehow restricted to corporate environments. You want to go and learn the more powerful one that is useful even outside corporate environments in enterprise networks and have complete control of enterprise networks. So if you look at enterprise networks out there, over 90% of them would use Linux operating systems. So why restrict yourself to, why spend all the time, all the effort to learn Windows, unless you really want to work for Microsoft and of course you are I1, then you can focus on this. So the commands used here are Windows commands, DOS commands. They are different from Linux commands. They are not the same thing, all right? So if I want to say CLS, it will clear the screen. If I want to say in Linux, I'll say ls -l to see what is happening, but here it will tell me bad command. Here I'll do dir. And then if I want to move to a directory called contact, I'll say cd contacts and so on and so forth. So the commands here are different. So instead of learning this, I'd rather you wait and learn Linux where you sell more and the opportunities are more. However, this place does exist. And what does it do? You run the same thing you are doing from the GUI using your mouse to click. You enter commands here to run those same functionalities. The advantage here is that this one is much faster and you can use it for automation. Or you'll be doing stuff for one person, two persons, three persons, and you are clicking repeatedly within the GUI. You can enter the command here and say affect all, and then to just affect everybody, just a single command. So that's the advantage of CLI over GUI. PowerShell is the CLI for Windows Server. If they ask you, unless you learn CLI somewhere else, I'm not going to teach you CLI. If they ask you, do you know CLI or what PowerShell? Then you can say, no, in place of PowerShell, this is what I use for my automation. You can mention other automation tools. And one popular one will be Python, but that's for programmers.
Mr. Taki.
Yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes I think there's a time we get to like log in into the system using this MS-DOS on the laptop instead of like the normal interface we normally log in from this like kind of look like this PowerShell now you brought up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we'll log
So
in
there was
here.
a time you did that?
Yeah, like in our system, sometimes we go to work. I mean, you log in through the PowerShell, like you don't like you when you're typing your password, you don't see it, but just make sure you type in the right password. So once you after typing it, you just click enter, then it just takes you all the way to the main like the main interface. It will take you out of this PowerShell and take you to the main window page or something like that, where you can do
Okay.
your work. Mhm.
Okay, that's your current workplace, right? Or
Yeah.
long ago?
No, Amazon too, yeah.
Sorry?
In Amazon.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
In Amazon right now, where you work now?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so if it's current where you work now, that is likely, very much likely to be Linux operating system. You're sure it's not Linux?
It's it's kind of window, like when you log in, like if you don't log in through here, you can never do anything with that laptop. So you have to log in through this power shell you brought up now. Then once you log in, once you put in your username, then your password, then you just click enter. It takes you to the window page, like so yeah.
Yeah, it's a CLI environment, but I would think it's
Yeah,
in Windows DOS.
yeah, I think they use one other one they call Ubuntu or something like that.
Yeah,
Ubuntu.
Ubuntu, yeah.
Yeah.
Ubuntu is Linux. So
Okay, yeah.
it's very much likely to be Linux.
Then,
But Amazon,
yeah.
it's Linux. Especially when you mention that when you are typing the password, you don't see it until
You
you
don't
press
see
it.
it, yeah.
And that's Linux.
Okay.
You will learn to do all of that in another 3 weeks, you'll be doing that.
All right.
You'll not just be doing it, you'll be able to
do it too.
and now change to the department of people who manage the entire systems and set things up from that environment.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I have
Well,
a question.
yes.
A little mind-boggling since we started this class. I just wanted to know your thoughts on it. So you mentioned that Windows doesn't really have the capacity to have like large enterprise, systems and all of that. That is usually Linux that people lean to. So it just kind of, I'm just thinking. So for platforms like Azure, right, which is also like a cloud platform, obviously, since Azure is Windows related or is a Windows platform, will they also be implementing Linux on there or Windows?
They will be implementing Linux.
Linux, okay.
So all cloud providers will have all kinds of operating systems for varying purposes. Yes, Azure is owned by the same people who manufacture Windows, but cloud is much bigger than just one operating system.
Okay, that makes sense.
So they would not, if they dare not put Linux, they would eat their business by themselves. Nobody will patronize it. As a matter of fact, you know that even the Windows, like the first contributor of that, is built on Linux. Yeah, they may not call it Linux, they can call it Ubuntu, Jabuntu, like call it a different name, but basically a Unix-based operating system. That's where everything starts.
So what you're saying, in essence, is if we're able to understand Linux as you're about to teach us, right? It's easier to even transition into any cloud platform, not just AWS.
Correct.
Okay, that makes sense.
And not just cloud platform, it's easier to transition into any IT area. Whether it's going to be programming using Python to do machine learning, or it's going to be anything. Once you have that good understanding of Linux, it's like the ground floor that you have made so strong and very solid. If you now decide to put 7 stories, 20 stories on top of it, it's ready for you.
Okay. That makes sense. Thank you.
You're welcome. So your cloud, whether that cloud is AWS or Linux, or it's not built for Microsoft, it's built for the world, and the world uses it. So it's very it's compatible. To say it's compatible is an understatement. It's actually built for Linux. Yes, of course, they would want to market their own Microsoft. Yeah, you know, this talk about Microsoft being operating system being small compared to Linux is just the reality as we have observed it over the years. Microsoft would not agree by itself that Linux is a bigger boy. Microsoft will always tell you, how many systems do you want to network? 2,000. Is that what you are using Linux for? Our systems can do 5,000. Come and do it. But of course, we are talking from experience, people who have been in, you know, journals, books, projects people have executed over the years. So there is no contention with the champion. The champion is Linux. I mean, Linux will be specific, but generally Unix-based operating system where you are running, Linux is the most popular of them, being open source and highly available in different varieties called distros. Kali is coming up, SUSE is there, Ubuntu is awesome, Red Hat is popular. So these are the operating systems around which the billionaires of the world build the applications. So who are you serving? If you're in cloud and offering services and you don't provide platform that will support Facebook, that will support Google, that will support Netflix. All of these are based on Linux operating systems.
I understand. And you know, the interesting thing is, even as a SQL, Microsoft SQL DBA, when I started my current role, I realized that, I mean, even the Microsoft SQL language isn't completely owned by Microsoft. It started with Sybase, and then they just tweaked a bunch of things, because now I'm not doing solely MS SQL. I'm doing MySQL, Postgres, and all those things. And all those things are tied to the SQL language, like, which prior everybody, I actually thought it was a Microsoft thing until I started using AWS and realized that it has absolutely nothing to do with Microsoft. So
okay,
I completely understand that what you're saying.
Yeah, awesome. And I hope other guys are picking from what we are discussing, right? It's for the sake that we're emphasizing so that they can